Okay.
No, I know they're going to walk, probably. They're sitting on their phone in the car, but I know they're going to walk in my door any second.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know and reminding me. It's just a few announcements. So on the 10th, meaning tomorrow, is the Virginia Main Street Board Presidents Forum. So we've been reaching out to your board presidents. I think we tipped you guys off to that. So hopefully they're attending. The next one is in October. So that's October 25th. You see that further on down. Also want to let you know that there's a whole bunch of webinars hosted by the Virginia Small Business Development Center Network. So you can find a bunch of those links on in our Facebook group, obviously centered on businesses. Then in October, back to October, we are working with our real estate office to lead a development-ready webinar series. So how do you make downtown just prime and roll out the red carpet for interested developers to rehab some of your underutilized buildings? How do you attract businesses into those spaces, etc.? So there'll be a series of webinars around that topic. And then just lastly, let you know, in 2023, we'll be hosting a webinar series called Switch to Six. So this is to really review and dive into the new curriculum, or its curriculum that's focused on the updated Main Street America accreditation standards, the new one. So they've gone from 10 to 6. So that's the Switch to 6. Next year will be the first year that you all are expected to meet those accreditation standards. This year, I believe what we've talked about is having you do the checklist for the old ones and the new ones, so we can sort of see how it lands and understand where there might be some areas, opportunities. So just keep that in mind. We have a whole series devoted to that. Also, this is more for your information to share, that we are doing a program expansion starting this year, but it's not for becoming a designated community. We're putting a lot of time and energy into our Mobilizing Main Street program. So that's that middle tier. Exploring Main Street is an entry point for a community and local program. Mobilizing Main Street is about preparing for designation. Or it's a learning lab for neighborhood commercial districts, communities that are much larger than our 65,000 cap in our current program guidelines. So we are aiming to explore expanding into larger cities. So just keep that in mind. If you run into somebody, or if you know some small towns in your region, let them know that this program is going to be kicking off this fall. We're looking at an application period from October to November. December, a cohort will be announced for next year, and then January, the training and services begin. And then just a few little reminders. These are all hyperlinks. So for your Virginia Main Street Design Services, they are active. You can find the newsletter, or basically the suite of services that are available through this link at Fraser Associates. This is the password to get into those documents. Also remember that you have access to the Center for Nonprofit Excellence. So for technical assistance and for more expansive services, some of the more expansive services, you'd get a discounted rate as a member. So this gives you access, or help. Our institutional membership gives you access to your own membership. Another one beyond that, nonprofitready.org is just, it's a philanthropic arm of a private software company. But what they've created are all these modules for learning around nonprofits. And it's anything from time management to board roles and responsibilities. You'll find a number of things in there that I think might be helpful for your board. And you can use that as an orientation, or even as a training module for your board at any point during the year. And then the fiscal year 24, which sounds crazy, grant cycle opens January 2nd and then closes the end of April. So you've got a nice long period there to get in your application and think about your projects. But here's the cool thing. So to prepare, got a little bit of an assignment. This is more aspirational than anything. We're going to be able to raise the grant amounts. And so think within these terms. One big project idea, maybe two, that would be a game changer for your downtown. That would be 50 to 75,000 for your grant. Also, we've got a pot of money through the IRF fund, the Industrial Revitalization Fund, that would be purely for Virginia Main Street. So think about the development projects that you really need. Is there one that could use that gap financing around 500,000? So two big things to just keep in mind coming up in the near future. All right. Any questions to this point? Because I think we need to get on with the content. All right. So today you probably saw the summary of what we're talking about today. But here's your appreciative inquiry question, appreciative question to kind of frame what we're talking about today, and being solution oriented and sharing best practices that contribute to this or answer this question. Imagine a Main Street nonprofit organization where businesses, both regional and within your Main Street district, contribute financially to its sustainability and program development. What would that look like? And so we're kicking off this question with a guest speaker, Jennifer Goldman. She's the president of Resonance. That is her consulting business. Some of you might know her as former executive director of Warrenton's Main Street program. She was there for 5 years and now has gone into consulting and helping out in business development and facilitation, strategic planning, etc. But I'm going to hand it off to Jennifer to take it from here. And Jennifer, just let me know when you need me to advance slides.
Okay, fabulous. I love having an assistant. So welcome and thank you everybody for joining us. I love seeing the faces that I remember from when I was executive director in Warrenton, but also I've been working with some of the organizations much more recently, and so it's great to see you here too. And I wanted to give another little plug for CNE, the Center for Nonprofit Excellence. They really are great with nonprofits, and I've done presentations with them as well. I have another one coming up September 23rd. I know I've given this presentation with Virginia Main Street. It's called All the Pretty Pennies, and it's about funding planning and how to sort of measure what your income streams are and how dependent you are on them, coming up with those ratios, the math, and how to have those conversations. So there's going to be a repeat of that with CNE at the end of September. But today we're going to talk about business and business strategies for gaining financial support for your organization. And some of the organizations that I've been working with have said to me, you know, we're not really seeing funding and financial support from our downtown businesses. And most likely you probably won't. They do have other ways that they can support the downtown organization, and we'll go into that in a further slide. It's a little bit later. But there are other ways to get support for your organization through businesses that really aren't about just your downtown mom and pop retail and restaurants. And so the next few slides are going to go into some of that, and then definitely want to discuss it. I don't know if you're like me, I do not remember things very well. So don't wait till the end. If you have a question, please go ahead and interrupt or raise your hand, and Kyle will see that and let you interject at will. So Kyle, next slide, please. So there are various other ways, or various ways in general, that businesses can help support your organization. Not all of them are financial. Some of them can be program partners. If you have a program you're putting together or a project you want to do, some of them may partner with you in lieu of giving money. They may help you with that project and carrying it out. Some of them might be participants in your event. You know, some of the retail businesses or the restaurants, they may contribute to the event. They may donate things to your silent auction, or maybe you have a taste of your downtown event. Other participation ways that they can support you. It's still support. It's one of those things that, you know, businesses are great and they want to support you. It's not always with money. It might be with other resources. An annual donor or event sponsor. And those go a little bit hand in hand. I've done both with organizations. Event sponsorships, you can come up with them for each individual event I remember when I was executive director, one of the first things I remember my board members saying to me is, we feel like we keep going after the same people, event after event after event, and it's so many times per year that now when we approach people in those businesses, they want to run away. They get that look in their eyes and they just want to turn and go the other direction. And so that was when we came up with our annual sponsorship levels. And then you can be a sponsor of the organization over a year, and that had certain benefits throughout the year. So consider that maybe if you're looking at ways that you can combine event sponsorships. If you have so many events, you feel like you're always going after the same people. And then there's the annual donors. They don't all have to be annual sponsorships, like I mentioned, but if you can get those annual donations, a lot of the organizations I've been working with lately, I've said, if you get a business to give you a donation once a year, ask them if it's okay if it's an annual thing. Even better if you have one of those platforms where they can opt in for the annual donor that way, or the annual contribution that way, just once a year. It just happens automatically and you don't have to ask again. One of the things that I'm a big fan of, if you can get away with it, is the opt-out option that says, this is how we do it. It's going to be an annual contribution. And if you don't want that to happen, unclick this button or let me know. Sometimes people forget and you wind up with at least one more annual contribution. But it's a great way too, that just makes it easier for people to contribute. And then you've got the in-kind contributor. A lot of businesses, and I'm sure you see this around event time, especially, in lieu of giving money, they will give you something else, something that hopefully that you need. This is something that I always advocate organizations weigh the in-kind contribution. Is it something you would be spending money on anyway? Is it something that you truly need? Or is it something someone else is just, they're either trying to get rid of it or they're trying to push it off on you because it gives them a ticket to an event or something in return. So weigh that. And I've actually had organizations, some boards might make a policy about what those in-kind contributions can be, what the value is worth, or what it actually adds to your budget and in lieu of you spending an expense. Things like, we were going to place ads for this event and they were going to cost $1,000, and maybe that advertising company, news media resource, gave us the ad for free, and that's $1,000 we would not have spent that we would have, and that's a good trade. If it's something you wouldn't have been spending money on, then you need to weigh that. Is it a good trade? Other business ways of contributing to the organization, they might assign a committee or a board member that they can participate and help your organization that way. And hopefully as a board member, they would also be a financial contributor. Advocate with your municipality. There are some businesses that might have a stronger pull with your town or your county that might help you get permission for things that you need. And paid time off for employees to volunteer. That's something that I've been advocating a lot of organizations. If your board and committee members can go to the companies that they work for and see if those businesses might actually afford their employees time off to volunteer for you, that's a great resource for you. And then there's also corporate foundation grants. Places like Starbucks, Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, a lot of them have foundations that go with their huge corporation. And it's through that foundation that you would get a contribution. Kyle, next slide, please. And then here are some common ways that businesses can contribute financially. So if they are going to give you money, there are different ways that they can do it. And some of them are really just ways for them to record it differently. And it's something they should talk to their accountant about. I never, ever, ever tell a business that they can contribute money and write it off a certain way on their taxes. I always say, it's possible you can do it this way, but please talk to your accountant. Because, yeah, I'm not an accountant. I don't know these things. I've heard them and I know that they are true, but it depends on really the variable to which you give something in return for their contribution. So it's something they should check out. But there's just philanthropy. It's just a charitable donation because they want to, they expect nothing in return, and that, that is definitely more write-offable. And then there's for marketing purposes, especially if they're going to be a sponsor of your organization or a sponsor of a specific event, then maybe they're getting their logo put on things and they're being advertised with that event or with your organization and your marketing efforts. Then they may be able to put that as a business expense under marketing. There's also outreach. Some businesses may be able to contribute and participate in your events, and be part of the community, be participating, conducting their own outreach, and your event or your organization is giving them that opportunity. So it could be outreach for them. It could be community support, a contribution toward a specific program or a project. I don't know exactly where they write that off in taxes, but it's just a different way that you might approach them for their support. Some businesses might contribute to the organization just because of your mission and what you're doing. Some of them might feel better about contributing to a specific thing. We are trying to build this whatever or do this great project. And so those may be earmarked funds, but it might make them feel better about contributing because it's to a very, very specific purpose. And then there's the foundation, the donation or grant through their corporate foundation, which I mentioned earlier. Instead of the business giving, it goes through their foundation. And then there's leverage, matching dollars for other donations or funding that you secure. I read this, I don't know how true it is, but that some businesses, they might be willing to contribute, say, $5,000. But if they could not contribute all $5,000, for some reason that seems more attractive to them. So they will say, we will give you $5,000, but matching toward another, however much you raise at a different fundraiser. So maybe your fundraiser makes $3,500, then they're going to donate the $3,500. If you get all $5,000, they'll match it to the $5,000 mark, whatever limit they set. But sometimes that's just the easier thing for them to do instead of outright making that commitment. It's a commitment up to a certain point, and then it's on you to get to that level. Kyle? And then about your businesses, your merchants, in your downtown. As I said before, a lot of the downtown businesses are small. Don't discount the other businesses. I know when we say merchants, we're generally thinking about the restaurants and retail shops. But when you're looking for financial support, don't underestimate these service businesses, professional businesses. Look at your accountants, your banks, attorneys, insurance companies. Those are great businesses within your downtown for financial support. But the mom and pop, the retail stores and the restaurants, they may be able to give to you by way of introducing you to people they do business with. This is something that I've been talking to a lot of organizations recently is like, they may not have the money to give to you, even if they wanted to. But maybe some of the businesses that they support would come back and support you. So maybe ask some of your businesses, do they do business with people with deeper pockets who might be able to support you financially? Maybe it's their landlords or the management company of the building that they're in. Maybe it's the janitorial business, their landscapers, people who are supplying their foods. One business that comes to mind, I don't know how philanthropic they are, but a lot of businesses in the downtown do business with Cisco, supplying, some of their water and sodas and napkins and disposable products. Those are great companies. There's a uniform company, I forget what they're called, that does supplies the uniforms, and there's another one I think that does all the cleaning. The companies that take your tablecloths and your linens to dry clean, those are great companies to see. Would they be supportive financially since they're making money off of the downtown already? Distributors, accountants, and insurance companies, again, some of those are in your downtown. But also there's other businesses that are not in your downtown. Businesses like if you Googled maybe your county or your town, top employers, usually the top employers are going to be the county or the town and the schools. But then you might be surprised by some of the other ones. It's not all Walmart and Lowe's and Home Depot. Some of them are businesses you don't normally think of as being up here with those huge corporations that are really locally run, good community-minded businesses. So take a look at those. They're not all downtown based. Kyle? And so what can we expect of our downtown businesses? Like I said, there's other ways that they can support you that's not directly financial. A lot of those businesses would like to support your organization. I know there's always some push and pull with some of the merchants that we have downtown, but a lot of them really are supportive. Or maybe they just need to be listened to find out what would make them more supportive. Have those conversations with them. I was talking to Kyle before we got online, and there are a lot of ways to find your complainers. and listen to what they're complaining about to turn it into an opportunity. And I know one of them that we were talking about was not about business support, but it turned into another fundraiser of listening to, and this was for me, listening to business people in my area complaining about bringing their kids to our Christmas event and having to stand out in the cold. So I made a private event for a financial contribution every year. You got to skip the line and come to the private event. I had one business, it was an insurance person in my downtown who was complaining because he wasn't treated special enough at our gala. And so I created a more expensive ticket for a VIP package. And that was a great way to make him feel special. And it was just, taking those complaints and turning them into a way to contribute to the organization financially. But here are some other ways that your downtown businesses might support you. And maybe it's not a direct financial contribution. Helping to organize, host, and encourage attendance at merchant meetings. I don't know how many of you are doing them. I remember trying to host them, and it was hit or miss as far as getting merchants to come to the merchants meetings. There are some that you think will never come, but maybe if they were hosting it, because they don't have time to leave their store. But maybe if they were the host, they would welcome everybody coming there. Maybe they're just great cheerleaders. Maybe, well, I can come, I might not come, I might come, but maybe if I send my next door neighbors to go and then they can fill me in. So they can support that way. Assisting with the distributing pertinent information to other businesses, owners, and managers. That was a big thing, just communicating with all the businesses so that they felt like they were in the loop all the time. So if you can get some of your businesses to help you with that, spreading the word, sort of that old telephone tree, that would be fantastic. Serving on a committee. And serving on your board. I know that's difficult. A lot of the downtown merchants don't seem to have time to do those things, but it doesn't mean that they're not interested, and maybe they can, or maybe they can assign somebody else from their business that could. Engaging in your social media and sharing. That's a big thing that I think all of us could probably do more of. I know it's hard. You have to intentionally go online on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and be looking for the posts of your neighbors. But it's easy to do, and it's always great when somebody else shares your thing. I don't know if you ever look at that. Like it's, you're successful because, oh my gosh, I got 5 shares on a post. And it makes you feel really good. So if you do that for others, they will do that with you. But also ask. My girlfriend has an expression, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. And I hear that a lot when I'm, contemplating things but not moving forward with them. You don't ask, the answer is always no. So ask them to do any of these things, really. But even on social media, sometimes it's an email that says, hey, I just put up this post that would be really, it's really vital that as many people hear this announcement or whatever as possible. Can you share it? Go find it and share it, or tag them in it so that they can share it easily. Submitting items for your monthly newsletters. I remember being a manager, I got blamed for not knowing certain things in my downtown, but I didn't know them because nobody told me. So ask them also, please share things with me. Please send things to me that are happening with your business, things that are happening in downtown that maybe I don't know about, things that I can share in a newsletter and can pass along. That's a great way for your businesses to contribute to your organization. Brainstorming solutions to downtown challenges and coming to the table. That's a big thing. Getting your merchants to come to the table and share ideas and go through things with you. Giving input and being productive that way is great. Even if they're not on a committee, just come to a meeting, that has something to do with something you care about and help us find a solution to this. Standing with you at town council meetings. I don't know how much you have to do at town council or how many things you have to ask for or get permission from your town council. But if you can get your merchants to come with you and help you get the thing that you want, that's huge. Introducing you to others who may support you financially, like we said in the last slide, who are they doing business with that might have deeper pockets that might want to contribute, and getting an introduction. Introducing you to other entrepreneurs who might fill a vacancy. I don't know about in your downtown, but most downtowns have a really good grapevine, and a lot of retail merchants interview every person who walks through their door, and they are such a great source of information because they talk to so many people every day. So see, what do they know? Who do they know? Are there people that they know of that are looking to start a business who might put you in touch with them? And little matchmaking between people that they know, and some downtown vacancies. Also, one of the important things to me that I don't have on this list is, I don't want to say tattletaling, but they used to tell me, like, I know this business isn't doing well and she's afraid to say something. Or I know this business is about to move or close their doors and she's not really telling anyone. But that knowledge is really important in case you can help somebody, or to know that there's about to be a vacancy in your downtown. It's really great if you have that relationship with your merchants and they can talk to you about the things that maybe others aren't telling you. And encouraging their landlord to be supportive. That's a great thing too, because hopefully you have good relationships with your property owners, but a lot of them are absentee, and maybe only the business owner really knows the landlord there. So if they can get that person to be supportive of you, that would be a great deal. Financially would be wonderful, but at the very least, you're going to want to talk to them when you're doing building inventories and other, Kathy Frazier type projects. You need to know who owns the building and get that type of permission and work with them. And Kyle, I think, is that the last? The next one is just, leading us into some conversation and input and feedback. Because I always feel like I just blathered on for a really long time. So now I hear everybody else like add, discuss, criticize. Uh-oh. We've got constant cutting and pasting going on.
Yeah. It doesn't look so great, but the information's there. Yeah, Zachary, you zhuzh it. You get it all. You get it all set. Zachary's going to do the scribing for us today. But this is really an opportunity to dive into what works for you all to engage the businesses and get them involved, contributing money or just contributing their time and supporting the mission of the organization. What is working for you guys? So Andrea said that, and Andrea, I'd love to hear a little bit more about this, because I sort of know what you're talking about, but not totally sure how that works. Can you tell us a little bit more about how Cisco serves in providing gift card versus cash?
Yeah, so Cisco serves a lot of our downtown restaurants, and we were talking with one of the owners, and we're talking about how we can make our Taste of Downtown Restaurant Month bigger. And he said, why don't you hit Cisco up for a donation? And so when we did, they made it pretty clear that they don't usually write checks, but they'd be happy to either make food donations or they would buy a gift card to one of the businesses that they serve. So then they look really cool to their client, and then we get a prize that we can offer to our participants in our restaurant month without having to pay for it. So it worked out really well for everybody.
Nice. So it sounds like they buy the gift cards and then hand them over to you all to distribute.
They've done that,
Great.
yeah. And we got the contact of the person to talk to from the restaurant owner. So they just helped us out, make that connection. Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Great. Sounds like a lot of what Jennifer's talking about in practice. I love it. What about others? Heather, I look like you have a thought. It's just the look on your face. I have a feeling.
I have a kind of a question. I'm trying to figure out how to actually manifest this, but Hopewell is kind of a unique place as far as just marketing and getting the word out. Like a lot of traditional things don't always work as effectively as you would think, or they might work somewhere else. So we're trying to figure out how to do some sort of like downtown card like other main streets have done, but we want it to be almost more like a referral program that could be like linked up through all the different square that, all of our businesses are using. I don't know exactly how to do this, but I was curious whether another main street had done sort of like a referral incentive card combo. We just think word of mouth is probably our best bet in Hopewell over some other traditional marketing, methods.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a thought, but I have a question. So when I was in Warrenton, we did have a card, and it used to be each merchant had their own card, and then it became a town card. So you could go here, you could go there. So it wasn't referral based, but then if your store was a member of that card, when you sent out the emails and messages and events and announcements, it went to everybody's audience. So it was like, quadrupling your mailing list, or how many ever stores there were. because everybody's audience would then see your thing. You didn't get their mailing list directly because of privacy issues, but all of that was stored in the back end so that when you went through that program to send out a message, it got multiplied by how many ever other audience members of the businesses had. But my question is, when you say referral, do you mean referring from one business to another, or from like one downtown to another to create more of a tourism?
More like shopper to shopper, or like, resident neighbor to neighbor, however you want to phrase it. So there would be like an incentive for people to refer more people to businesses that they visit.
Hmm.
A program like that.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity for some.
Right. We don't want it to cost the businesses any money. So we're looking at Virginia Tourism has like a small kind of micro business grant that's due in September. So I wanted to put some feelers out with the Main Street crew and then try to work with Virginia Tourism to maybe develop a little pilot where we would have that $5,000 that we would be reimbursed for, and then the businesses wouldn't be out for any of the discounts that would be applied. But I don't know if something like that has been done yet.
Well, it makes me think of, of course, in Venmo, has sort of a social media aspect to it where you can do referrals or comment and so forth on expenditures. I don't know. There seems to be more and more gift card platforms that make it a little easier back versus in the day when there was actually a certificate, a handwritten one. I know that there have been some challenges in finding ones that run on the track and making it a little easier. I know that Downtown Dollars that Gloucester used was designed by a local software company. And so that might be worth talking to them at least about how it works. Hugely successful for them in the midst of the pandemic. But for everybody else, what are you all using for gift cards as far as the platform? Is there anybody here that has one or has done maybe some research around it? Rebecca Logan, good to see you.
Good to see you all too. I was eating lunch, so you couldn't see me. We have a really unusual situation where we created our own gift card program, and we actually print 4 different denominations, 5 10s, 25s, 50s, and we run it all through a separate operating account, the gift certificate account. People can come and either come up to the office and purchase them in any amount they care to, or they can buy them online. And then we fulfill those certificates and they go to, we have them printed on the back where all the participating businesses are printed there, and they can use these gift certificates anywhere over town. And we're the bank. We facilitate it all. It's a lot of work, but in last year, during the COVID, first 2020, we kept over $50,000 within our downtown. And then this past year, it was almost $70,000. So it keeps growing. The colleges come to us and get a whole bunch of them for incentives for their employees or thank you things. It's work, but it's turned out to be really good. We really tried to do one card all across town, and there's too many businesses that have such different operating systems that it's just impossible.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of, I can go show and tell. I can go get them for you, but it's all it's on our website. It's all in-house. The good part about it, what we do finally end up recouping our time, is that legally after 5 years, if any gift certificate is unused, then those funds can come to our organization.
Oh.
So there is a little bit of a benefit after a 5-year investment.
The only other thing that I can think of is I've seen businesses do sort of a gift certificate or gift card sale during the holidays, where it's like if you buy $100 in gift certificates, you get $20 gift certificate for free. And maybe the businesses could do something like that, where when you sell a gift certificate, you get another denomination of a gift certificate, but it's made out to a friend. That's the only thing I could think of. And then you could give that gift certificate to somebody else.
That's good, Jennifer. And one thing that Gloucester does is that they pay into it so that people are getting more. It's not dollar for dollar. You are actually getting 30% or however much they're buying into it for that particular season. You actually get more for your money because they buy into it. So that might help to expand it in some way, or even the use of the unspent funds, if that could build up to provide that in some way. I don't know. This is good. I love this kind of problem solving. Awesome.
Yeah, the thing I was thinking of in Heather's place, what she was talking about was maybe like you buy $100 gift certificate from whichever business it is downtown, it doesn't matter. And then the extra $10 or $20 gift certificate is something that comes from Heather's organization through that VTC grant that is a town-wide gift certificate then that is given to somebody else specifically that is a referral. That might be ways that they buy it from the business, so the business gets the original gift certificate money, and then the additional free money comes from the grant that Heather got, and not from the business itself.
Yeah. Another, do you all remember Trapes, Darren Smith with Trapes in Stanton? So that's it's an app for creating experiences in downtown. Well, he has developed software for like a cryptocurrency for a district. So I don't know where that has landed, but it might be worth investigating and seeing where that is in development. He has presented at Main Street now. He's so he's still present and still working on something. I know Trapes is still going, but there's this local cryptocurrency idea and software that he's developed. So who knows? So he might be worth looking into. Thank you, Diana, for sharing that. That's great. Now, we don't have to talk purely about gift cards. So are there any other ways that have been very successful in engaging your small businesses in the operations or the funding of your local program? What else comes to mind?
Wasn't someone earlier talking about the best thing in their day was extra coffee? I feel like there should be extra coffee.
I know. I wish I could, like squirt it in your mouth right now. Everybody, open wide. Here it comes,
Well, you're too nice. This is usually where I just start calling people out. You've been quiet.
I'll pick up. So right now we're working on, just as far as events are concerned, I know that was one topic that had been covered, is like engaging them in your events or having them participate as a form of sort of donation, if you will. So we're planning our second annual Harvest Ween event, which is like the end of our farmers market season and kickoff of Halloween weekend. So we have our regular summer street festivals, and then Harvest Ween last year was a pilot, and we tried to do like a progressive event that would take people into different parts of downtown. So we're working on that again, but what we did is we had on our poster, we had essentially sidewalk crawl, trunk or treat, and then outdoor film. And this year we're doing that process again, but each business kind of had a theme, and then they were pitching what they had for families and kids and people attending the festival at their specific location. So we do roundtables bi-monthly in downtown. It's like essentially merchant meetings or stakeholder meetings. And so like we just had a big sort of downtown security meeting with the new police chief. And then for this next one, we're making it fun. So we try to like go back and forth between serious and something fun. So our September one will be all about just kind of confirming final details for our Harvest Ween event and how each business wants to plug in, and then like what partners they're bringing in from Richmond or wherever. But it's really fun because you get to like engage them in a more creative and playful way than maybe some of the more serious topics that tend to, be dramatic for downtown meetings. So it's nice to kind of throw this fun thing in there. And we're probably you know, it keeps things light to mix it up like that.
Thank you, Heather. Hey, Jessica Jenkins, you have years of tenure in Main Street and some amazing business engagement, both in events and just in development in downtown. What success stories might you be able to share about what works in engaging them? Oh no, Jessica, I'm sorry to interrupt. Your audio is all muffled. It's all broken up. Okay. Okay, well, Jessica's going to call in really quickly. While she's doing that, who else has some stories to share? Tamara, you know, I know you've gone through CBL recently and you had the CAP program and really supporting that cohort of businesses. You all have a great history of really engaging them. What else has worked lately?
Lately, we've really still got the group that is growing. We've been meeting at 5:30 once a month. The merchants meeting has been at the brewery, and it's been on kind of a night when the brewery's not open. And we've gotten some really good engagement because we've never had that, and that's continuing. Just recently, they really got into like what the Christmas parade theme was going to be. I never really even had consulted them on what the Christmas parade theme was going to be. They really got engaged recently on a parking sign in front of a parking lot that nobody knows is a parking lot. And so they're just really starting to get, I really don't have one example, you know, over anything else or money wise or whatever, but it's so refreshing to see a new group of younger merchants that are really starting to get engaged like they never have before. And so I really don't have any one example, but it's just been a really good process in the last, I would say, half year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I'm hearing is that you provide a forum for them for listening, and then you're taking those ideas and actually doing them. That's fuel. You know, it's
Right.
that's fabulous.
And then one thing that has worked also is SunTrust Bank, for example, became First Horizon, and then they're going to something else. You can never keep up with who they are. So we had them come to a merchants meeting as a sponsor, buy the beer, and also bring goodie bags. And then they had the guest forum for the presentation of telling about First Horizon. So that also helped First Horizon get engaged in a way that they had not been and start networking with people as well. So that little just piece of a short presentation at the merchants meetings as a guest speaker has really been good too.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. Tappahannock has had some success in that regard. Thank you. All right, Jessica, are you all set?
Can you hear me now?
Yay, yes. You're fantastic and clear.
Well, what we've done, which was suggested at one of our merchants meetings a few years ago, was do similar to what you all have done for the Virginia Main Street directors, which is create a private Facebook chat room for all of our downtown business owners. That way we can kind of talk in real time. If there's any concerns, they can talk with one another and share ideas. The other thing that we've done to sort of get them engaged and support of CRI is a Friends of CRI campaign where the sponsorship levels are fairly low. The highest, I think, is around $300 all the way down to $50. That way it's not a very expensive way to show their support. And within that package, there's a full listing of all of the things that CRI has accomplished within the past year. That way, new businesses kind of get an idea of what it is that we do and how we benefit anyone that is within our footprint.
That's great. That's good. Are that smaller package of sponsorships, do you have something larger for corporations also? And how do you end up connecting with them and selling?
Well, just started the Friends of CRI just a few weeks ago.
Okay.
We currently have, I think, 5 downtown businesses that have signed up so far. We are planning on sending the email out again and then doing sort of a walk around and discuss with some of the businesses about it. Now, as far as corporate sponsorship, that typically goes for our larger events.
Okay.
And we have a lot of those. So.
Okay. Okay. So you don't have corporations, the larger ones in the area that say contribute to the operation fund of your organization. They're most interested in a sponsorship and exposure, marketing opportunity. Is that correct?
Exactly. They're more interested in getting their name out. Specifically, a lot of our real estate businesses within Culpeper have been very interested in being sponsors this year.
All right. That's good. Thank you. I miss Culpeper. Since I don't work with you guys directly, I haven't been up there in eons, and it's always a pleasure.
Oh, we'll come down anytime.
That's right. And it's an easy drive from Richmond, so I don't really have a good excuse.
It's a very beautiful drive from Richmond.
It certainly is. Anything else? Otherwise, we can open it up to some other topics in closing. So Andrea says they don't have any luck getting funds for supporters for operations. They want something like a sponsorship in return. I get that. And I would suspect that does anybody have any success for maybe them funding a specific project in that way? Events are one thing, but any sort of improvement in downtown, it makes me think of in Stanton when they rehabbed the bridge up to Sears Hill, of a sponsorship for naming the bridge, something in that regard. Anything like that ever occurred?
We did, when I was in Warrenton, we would get some of those shop owners and property owners that would help us with things that would beautify the downtown in general.
Yeah.
Hanging flower baskets and things of that nature. If it came to more specific things, that was usually, it's on that side of, on downtown or Main Street. And, they didn't feel like it directly benefited them quite as much.
Yeah.
But there were some, if it was a sort of generic beautification project.
Okay. Yeah. Well, go on.
For this year, we actually started a project sponsorship package for projects that we would like to do, but we currently do not have the funding to do.
Yeah.
And so we've just started that this year, but we've put the package together, but we haven't started promoting it quite yet. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and I know that in the past, Jessica, like when you guys did the Pocket Park, that community park, that you sold off sponsorships or donations for very specific elements of it also. And I remember that really great illustration of those different levels and tiers of giving and what it gets, and that helped to contribute to completing that project and building it out.
Yeah, between the grant that we received and all of the donations and sponsorships, we were able to pay completely for that Pocket Park.
Yeah,
so that was a really great project.
Absolutely. And I've seen, and I don't know if Lynchburg still does this, and I know it's not the Downtown Lynchburg Association, but they have sponsorships for their landscaping along their, the highway. And so that, that could be a cool idea for, a level of exposure, but for something a little bit more long-term versus just completing a project some way. I don't know. That's just me thinking.
Yeah. We've partnered with our garden club, local garden club, to come in and do the plantings each year, help clean up all the planters. We have our local florist and plant business right here in downtown who actually just donated a tree for one of the trees that passed away. So they donated the tree as well as their time to remove the old tree and to replant that one.
Right. Yeah. I love those kinds of stories. We can continue to talk about this. I wanted, Jennifer, is there anything you wanted to add, or otherwise I wanted to open up the topic a little bit
Yeah, go for
in
it.
the last few minutes, see if there was anything else that you all wanted to talk about. So I mean, just broadly, any success stories, high point experiences when you felt most alive, successful, and effective, meaning any projects that really just, man, lifted you, lifted the community, a time when you really felt that it hit it on the nose and you guys were starting to see the kinds of impacts that you, that your mission is driving for. Now I can give you a moment to think about that. Success stories are always wonderful to share. For some of us, those success stories have been the challenges that we haven't quite figured out yet. So see where we're going.
Really quick for our farmers market, we have partnered with a few of our partners to provide, they're called Farm Fresh Dollars for kids. Not only do we provide that on the second Saturday of each month, but there is also a live cooking class where children can have the cooking class. There's a scavenger hunt, and then they can use those market dollars to go to the vendors to purchase the items to use to cook, you know, whatever the cooking class menu was for that month, to then bring those home and try that out at home. That has been a really huge success. A lot of children are participating, well within the hundreds for that Saturday. And then on top of that, we have the SNAP matching dollars, where if someone who benefits from the SNAP program can come purchase $25 worth of tokens, we will match that up to $25 per farmers market visit. And that has been a huge success as well.
Awesome. And hey, isn't this week Farmers Market Week?
Yes, it is. We have lots planned for this week, so we're excited.
That is cool. I love it.
Is that match separate from Virginia Fresh Match, or is that Virginia Fresh Match that you're talking about?
That's separate. That's actually provided from our fundraising activities. The board decides each year how much they'll put into that, and it's typically around anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, depending on how much we raise funds for that.
Thank you.
Rebecca put in a great link. I haven't read it yet, but it's the latest Main Street America spotlight, looking at farmers market as farmers markets as a transformation strategy. So it really looks at each of the 4 points and how they support the growth and success of a farmers market in that entrepreneurial ecosystem. So that's a great article. Heather, can you talk a little bit more about your question that you're looking for here, and maybe someone has an answer for you?
I know that different main streets are structured differently, and some of them are, you know, actually part of the locality, and you're being paid by the city. In Hopewell, we, you know, request funding every year, and then that goes toward my salary. We get some operational funds from the Cameron Foundation in Petersburg to free up some of those unrestricted funds from the city. So we kind of move things around, but I don't have benefits per se. I know some Main Street directors do, and they're able to get those through their locality. So I'm just, especially, you know, at this point in time too, with Hopewell, we only have like 2 department heads still filled at the city level, and we have some folks retiring in the coming months, and like, so we're doing a lot, and I'm just trying to figure out if there are ways that sort of a plan that we can take to city council so that I can maybe get benefits, and we can get benefits for our farmers market hire when we make that hire. So I'm just looking for advice with that, with maybe how to go about that, but not lose our independence and our ability just to answer to our, you know, existing board.
Yeah.
So,
Tamara might be able to speak to that.
Yeah, and I know
then I see
Todd-
Courtney's
Courtney said
prompting
Withville.
Withville. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Todd or Tamra?
I was in the restroom for like 2 minutes. So what do you want to comment on? I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can comment on it.
Okay.
So I started out off as a town employee and transitioned into this position. Basically, council members said, "Hey, we want you to do this." So that was the natural transition for us. And my pitch to them was, I don't want to lose my town benefits, my Virginia retirement system. So the only way I'm taking the job is if you allow me to stay within the town of Withville's payroll and HR. So they agreed to that at that time. But there's been a lot of struggle in the beginning and trying to brand recognition to try to create our own identity. And I can certainly talk about all that, but I would say the best thing for us right now is the communication that we have with town manager, assistant town manager, and town council, just that open line of communication that really keeps everybody informed of what's going on. And we're actually doing things as an organization that the town of Withville can't and doesn't want to do. So they work through us and our board through good communication. But it's all about the communication part of it, because you don't want town council telling you what to do along with your board telling you what to do.
Yeah.
So that was the challenge in the beginning. But we have navigated those waters, and I can certainly probably send you some things or some ideas that might help you make that pitch to them.
Yeah, and my South Boston story is ditto to just everything that Todd just said. So
Yeah. So you guys leverage the fact that you're already town employees and keeping those benefits, but yet maintaining independence and leading the organization. So they leveraged what they already had in that way. Were anybody in this room, did they go the other way from being, that operation contribution from the municipality, the organization, to now being an employee and having access to those benefits? Anyone? Yeah.
I think Marion went backwards from us, if Ken's on here.
I think they've always
He had
been.
another meeting. Ken already stepped out.
Yeah, he did just step out. But
Okay,
you're
I
right.
can follow up
There's
with
this.
him if he's the only one that. Yeah.
Well, I
What was
think Ken is actually still a town employee.
Yeah, and any of the executive directors have always been town employees in that role.
I actually, my position, which I just started last month. This is David in Alta Vista. My position went quote unquote backwards, whereas my predecessor was a town employee with VRS benefits and health insurance. And then actually during my interview process, the town started to migrate away from that hybrid model, and now I'm on my own.
Okay. Do you know what was part of the rationale in that?
Yes, but I'm not sure I want to get into that all the way.
Okay. That's fine, David. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I know that, some of the staff here was also, working with the municipality at that time, so they might be able to contribute some ideas. So,
So
yeah.
I have a question, because some of the organizations that I've been working with are trying to do this too, and they have MOUs, and some of the MOUs are great with what the town promises to contribute and what the organization promises to do in return. But some of them have gotten pushback from the town saying, well, if you aren't on our payroll, we can't give you any of the actual healthcare benefits and things. Is that true? Or the people who are getting benefits from the town, are you actually on the town payroll, just technically?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that's the scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just say this. I mean, it has its perks, but it also has its downfalls too. I mean, it's like we have to go through an extra level channel of communication just to keep town council informed, town administration informed. So, but at the end of the day, you don't truly have to have the fundraising held over your head to sustain your salary, which makes it feel good so you can chase other things and not have to constantly worry about busting your ass and then having your, you know, your salary questioned. So it's been good for us.
Yeah.
Excuse my language there.
That's the reason why I've been working with boards as well, and tell your board members for tomorrow's thing is about, the board members starting, and helping to lift the fundraising efforts, because it's a very different ask when an executive director is out looking for donations, because it basically says, I need my paycheck covered. When a board member goes out asking for donations, it says, I am a volunteer for this great organization. I believe in it so much that I think you should contribute as well. It's a very different ask and a very different feel to it from the recipient's aspect of who's asking for money. And you don't ever want, hopefully, your executive director and your staff seeming like they're out begging for their paycheck. You want the ask to be of financial help for the organization.
Mm-hmm. Andrew, that's an interesting scenario about setting up an IRA through Vanguard for your team.
Yeah, it was super easy. They make it so easy for you to do. I think I did most of it online really quickly.
Nice.
And you can do a employer contribution too and match.
Nice. Okay. Well, it's already 2:14. And you know what? I wish I could keep you guys here longer, only because I love being surrounded by you. It's a great feeling. You all are doing some amazing work. So what I'll do, I'm going to take all of this and share it with you. I'll also share the recording once it's available. But know that in the slide deck, you've got at least our Virginia Main Street team and who's assigned to you. Hopefully you already know that, some of our links. But just thinking beyond that, this is the entire team with the Economic Development and Community Vitality Division. So with Go Virginia and the Industrial Revitalization Fund and Virginia Enterprise Zone, and Virginia Individual Development Accounts and the Community Business Launch. We've got quite a team here, and it's a really wonderful scenario in order to really share best practices and being part of that entrepreneurial ecosystem for you guys. So, please continue to, embrace those tools and doing the work that you're doing. That's what we're here for and what we love. So other than that, I want to thank everybody for being here today, and thank Jennifer Goldman for making time out of your busy, amazing schedule to talk with everybody today. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you. Oh, it was amazing. I love doing it anytime.
Yeah. All right. Other than that, it's 2:15, and I don't want to steal one more second of your day. So get back to the amazing work you're doing, and reach out when you guys need us. Thanks so much.
Bye, everybody.